Hi, good day everyone. My name is Derwin Gadiane from BA3. So right now I am going to discuss about the role of technology in delivering the curriculum. So technology in delivering the curriculum. So as the world shifts towards a technological era, education is the one example of the technological shift from traditional to a new enhanced curriculum. So the quality of education is assessed through technology integration for enhanced performance and achievements. So yes, we all know that we individuals always seek a better way of improving our skills and knowledge. So as we continue to evolve, our quality of education also needs to improve and learn new methods of learning. So we change our educational curriculum based on our situation and strengths of our learners for us to have a better outcome. So example, the situation right now, there's a pandemic happening right now, the COVID-19 virus. We can't do face-to-face anymore as we need to prevent the COVID-19 virus in spreading in our areas. So all the educational institutions or schools have planned in changing our curriculums. Instead of face-to-face, we continued our class through online and modular method for us to learn constantly. So teaching uh, technology is expected to completely change the way the curriculum is developed and delivered, hence enhancing the quality of higher education. Technology has made search, storing, retrieval, transmission, gathering, dissemination, and reception of knowledge easier, cheaper, and faster. Yes, technology really is a revolutionary way of changing our educational curriculum, not only in helping us learning more information, but also it is very convenient in our learning. It helps us to learn more new information in any time, also any place, as long as we have a stable connectivity. Uh, so because of that, we can learn new things within a tap of our technologies. In planning phase of any instruction, aside from the formulating the objectives and among other considerations, there is need to identify what instructional media are to be utilized in the implementation. So planning our instructional media is in implementing our curriculum is an important task on what to utilize in the curriculum for us to have an exact and appropriate method in teaching our learners. Yes, it needs to be planned properly for us to have a better outcome. So the following are the systematic approach to instructional planning. So the first is objectives, the next is plan instructional activities, and identify and assess instruction media, and choose an instructional media, the implement instruction, assess instruction, and lastly the revise instruction. So first is the defining objectives. Planning and clarifying objectives helps define goals, identify conflicting activities, guide elements of the decision-making process, and ensure accountability of personnel within the curriculum. So we all know that a plan without a better objectives can cause a negative outcome in the future. So clarifying our objective first is necessary for us to have a guide in making our decision and ensure that we will succeed our targeted outcomes. This makes our plan to be more effective and efficient as we already have an idea on what to execute in order for us to achieve our plan. So the next is plan instructional activities. Planning a detailed or instructional information or idea about how the curriculum should be done or operated. So example of the instructional activities are the micro-learning, blogging, interactivity, gamification, modular learning, and virtual learning. So we need to have an appropriate instructional activities that suits the situation and the majority of the learner's capabilities in the particular place for us to have an effective operation in teaching and learning, in teaching the learners. Yes. So the next is identify and assess instruction media. Indicate what instructional media and technology that are effective to facilitate planning and deliveries and reinforcement of students' learning. Identify any systems, devices, and apparatus that present and adapt information during the teaching process in order to improve the process effectiveness. So in creating a curriculum, we need to have a proper research or background to the particular place where we implement our curriculum. So gathering an interview to the locals and giving an intervention will help the curriculum creators to have an idea on what instructional media are appropriate to include in the learning. So it helps us to reinforce and facilitate our students' learning and present an adaptable methods to the learners. So the next is choose an instructional media. After identifying all types of specific instructional media that is related to the objectives of curriculum, choosing should be appropriate for the age, emotional, and social development and ability level of the students for whom the materials are selected. So yes, after the success in identifying our specific instructional media, uh, choosing is the next step. So as I said earlier, the curriculum creators should choose the exact materials which is related to the objectives and the recent research. The effectiveness is a must in learning. So it should be planned and choose properly based on the situation and students' capabilities. So the next is the implement instruction. Apply or implement all the chosen and appropriate instructional media in the curriculum. So it is intended to deepen and integrate teachers' knowledge, enable them to apply and engage that knowledge in real time to make instructional decisions for our learners. So implementation of the exact instructional media and activities in the curriculum is very important to the teachers or educators to learn and familiarize the methods and knowledge first. So it is because this will depends on the teacher's abilities in engaging the learners in curriculum. Uh, Failing in implementing and curriculum are not always the cause of inappropriate instructional activities, but also on how the teachers engage their techniques and strategies. If the teacher fails to teach or engage the lessons or activities, even if it is related to the objectives because of the lack of experience or knowledge of the teachers about the planned curriculum, it will cause a huge negative impact to the curriculum outcomes. So next is assess instruction. It provides uh, information as to how certain instructional media relate to specific learning objectives. The teacher and school staff must examine the content of the course, if it is effective to the learners, and choose the appropriate way of presenting the information in order to maximize both instructional and learning process. So assessing the performance of the learners and how they perform in the curriculum implemented will help the curriculum creators to be aware if the implementation are effective or not to the students' learning. So, the effective, they can examine and plan more in our order for the curriculum to maximize the effectiveness of the learning process. Giving assessment every quarter of the year to the students will help them to improve their qualities of teaching on what method fails in the implementation and improve it later after the outcome of the assessment. So the last is revised instruction. Since most fields are constantly updating themselves, it is vital for the instructors to update their course content from time to time. Those new concepts, instructional materials, competencies, and standards should be properly reflected in the course redesigned. So revising the instructional course or activities is a must for the curriculum to be more updated to the standards of the learner's capabilities. So as I said in the beginning, the individual seeks a better way of improving its skills and knowledge. So the curriculum creator should be aware to that. So after the assessment of instruction or course, they will have an idea on what method to redesign or revise for the curriculum to provide an effective learning outcomes. So we're now going to tackle the types of instructional media. There are two types of instructional media, which are the non-projective media and the projected media. So the first is non-projected media. Non-projected media are those aids use which are used without any projection. So they translate abstract ideas into more realistic format. Uh, they allow instruction to move from verbal presentation to more concrete level. This type of instructional media doesn't use any kind of electrical technology or projections. Instead, it uses more realistic instructional materials or the traditional method. Yes, traditional method. Using this as an instructional media, we expect more experienced teacher in teaching as the majority of these instructions are more in concrete level which needs a capable teacher that exceeds in verbal ability in teaching. So example of non-projected media are the real objects, models, field trips, printed materials, and visual boards. So the advantage of this the non-projected media is it do not need a power source to make them uh, to present. So also they can be viewed straight as they are, and they have visual appeal and are easy to move. They can also be carefully stored and preserved for use in the future. So the disadvantage of this is it may become outdated and it cannot present motion materials for better visuals to the learners. So learning experience is quite limited. So picture quality may diminish over time. The next instructional media is the projected media. So it is a form of media which could be visual, audio, and audiovisual in nature that requires projection and electricity in their using process for teaching and learning situation. This type of instructional media is the opposite of the non-projected media. It uses more on electrical technology or projections. This instructional media can produce better visuals and audio examples that helps in explaining effectively. So it helps the teachers to engage a dozen of information within a topic in their devices. So example of this the projected media is the overhead transparencies, opaque projections, slides, films, video clips, computer presentations. So the advantage of this is it can be shared by a large group of people, the non-projected media. So the way of teaching is also more effective and efficient than with the use of traditional resources. So projected media will not cost a lot of money in making visual aids, unlike non-electronic resources. So the disadvantage of this is the devices are often expensive to buy and maintain when they need repair. So it needs technological literacy to use their projected devices. So that's all for my report about the role of technology in delivering the curriculum. So that's it. Thank you.